A lot of people wonder why they can't make progress, even though they're staying consistent, they think they're training hard, and they're showing up when they're meant to be, they're showing up when they feel like it and when they don't feel like it, but you are the problem, okay? And you don't realise it. You may blame it on some stuff, but I'll be honest with you, mate, you're the problem. And I'm going to go into a few reasons why that is. I'm going to keep this video as brief and as short as possible. I don't really want to go into too many things, but these are the main things as to why you are the problem and why you aren't making the progression that you want to make. And before we get into this video, I just want to briefly introduce myself to you guys if you don't even know me already. So my name is Ryan, I'm from the UK, and I've undergone a physical and mental transformation over the past 3 years, transforming myself from this in 2021 to now in 2024, and I'm on a mission to help and inspire skinny young men who struggle with the gym, struggle to gain weight, and struggle to find success, to help them find all those things through me teaching you what I know from my experiences. As you've seen, I have transformed myself pretty drastically, so I want to help other people do the same thing. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So it's not your split, it's not your exercises, it's not, it's not any of that stuff. You can't blame anything else. It's you. You are the problem. You are responsible for why you have not made progress. And once you realise that, it's your fault, right, then you're going to make so much progression. You need to actually look at yourself, and you need to have the humility and realise that it is your fault. You're the reason why you haven't made progression. It's not up to anyone else. No one else helps you make progression, right? You are the only one that determines whether you make progression and whether you don't make progression, right? It's like an entrepreneur blaming the fact that their business failed because of some like stupid external reason. It's them. The business is them. It's on them whether it does well or it doesn't. It's like with the gym. If you don't do well in the gym, it's your fault. You are the reason why you haven't made progression in the gym. And I'm going to go into 3 different parts of this video as to why you are the problem. So part 1 of this video is all about adaptation. One of the main reasons why you are not making the progression you want to make is because you're not letting your body adapt. And what I mean by this is so many skinny young men nowadays, they see the new, they hop on a trend, they're the sheeps, they see something on social media, they see some workout program that looks absolutely amazing and their mate says that they should try, and then they hop on it, and then the same thing happens again and again and again and again. It's an endless loop, and they keep following the trend, and they're a sheep, and they keep doing what their mates suggesting they do, and they keep doing what other people online suggest that they should do, and what's a new best thing, right? And they don't stick to something. Therefore, they don't let their body to adapt to the workout and stuff, because they keep switching. Therefore, they just restart, right? And without sticking to a one sole program for a prolonged period of time, your body can't adapt. And every time you switch, you hit the reset button. You got to think of it like this: when builders are trying to build a house, right? It's like if they were knocking down the foundations every few weeks, then they'll get nowhere, because the foundations is what you need to build the house, right? And if they keep knocking down the foundations, every few weeks, then how do you think they can build the house? It's like if you keep changing your workout program every single week or every single month or however, and if you keep changing it without allowing your body to adapt to it, then how do you think you're going to build your physique, right? You've got to be able to stick to the same program for a certain amount of time so your body can adapt. So when you follow a consistent program, your muscles gradually adapt to the workload, the exercise patterns, and all of that stuff. Therefore, obviously you're going to start out sore, but the more your body adapts, the more you're going to get used to it, and the stronger you're going to get, and the more you keep challenging yourself, which I'll get onto in a little bit later, then the more you're going to grow. So it's so important that you actually let your body adapt to what you're doing, and you just stop changing every month because you see the new best thing. You need to do what works for you, and what may work for your mate and what your mate suggests for you. You can try it, but I wouldn't suggest going off program and just completely switching every week and every month. You've got to stick to the same program and the same split for a prolonged period of time to ensure that your body adapts and your body can recognize the exercise patterns and the workout patterns and the workload patterns, so your body can adapt. Therefore, once your body adapts and you get stronger, then the process of muscular hypertrophy happens. And if you don't know what muscular hypertrophy is, that's basically the process where your muscles grow. So it's so important that you let your body adapt. And another thing I'd like to say, to put it into perspective as well, to make it really, really clear for you guys, it's like learning a new skill every week. If you keep switching and you keep changing the skill you're practicing and the skill you're trying to get good at every single week, then you'll never get good at any of them, because you're not sticking to practicing them for a longer period of time. It's like, for example, if you wanted to become a professional footballer and then you switched like a month later and you wanted to become a professional rugby player and then a cricket player and then a tennis player and then you wanted to be in the gym and so on and so forth, and you keep trying all this different stuff, you're not going to get good at any of them because you're not going to be sticking to them, and you're not going to be giving yourself a long enough period of time to be able to actually get good at them. So it's literally the exact same thing with this. So that's the first part of this video. Make sure you allow your body to adapt. So if you're constantly changing your workout programs all the time, then stop that and stick to one, and then you're going to see so much progress. And obviously you can switch when you get bored and stuff, but just make sure you allow your body enough time to adapt with one program so you can actually grow and you can actually, do what you're meant to be going to the gym for, right? Is to grow. So now I'm going to go on to part 2 of this video, and this part 2 is about technique, right? The reason why you are the problem, and the reason why you are probably not seeing the results you want, is because you're not performing the exercises properly, right? You're not performing the right technique, and it's not the exercises. You may blame an exercise for you not growing your shoulders or your chest, for example, but it's not the exercises. I get that some are not the best exercises and that some are more inefficient than others to do, but every exercise helps grow muscles, right? And if you're not performing the exercise properly, then you're not going to be seeing the results. Therefore, this is probably why, because you're not performing the exercise correctly. Because when you have bad technique and when you perform an exercise with incorrect technique, you're not going to be able to give your muscle the time and attention, the stimulation, the isolation, and the range of motion in order to actually help give the muscle the required stimulus that is required for it to undergo the process of muscular hypertrophy. So you need to make sure that your technique is good. So if you're going too heavy and if you're pushing the weights, therefore your technique is being sacrificed, then go a little bit lighter and make sure you're isolating the muscle properly. You're controlling the movement, so giving your muscle enough time and attention, giving your muscle full range of motion. So coming down all the way to the bottom, for example, on an incline dumbbell press, giving your chest the stretch it needs, which will lead to you actually fatiguing a muscle a lot quicker. Therefore, you're going to be able to micro tear muscle fibers inside your muscles more. Therefore, when they come to having to repair, then they're going to have larger repairs to undergo, and that is how muscle growth happens. So it's so important that you actually nail your technique and you prioritize your technique and you actually perform exercises correctly, because exercises are what helps us grow muscle, right? And if you can't perform exercises correctly, then how do you think you're going to grow muscle? So prioritize the technique, and if you're not performing exercises with good technique, then how do you expect to grow muscle? Sorry, I'm just flicking a page of my plan here. Now on to the final part, so part 3 of this video. So the likelihood of you not training hard enough is very high. The likelihood of you not pushing your body to the limits you need to push yourself to is very high. And this is because, obviously, as I was saying earlier, in order to grow muscle and in order to go under the process of muscular hypertrophy, you need to be able to give your muscles the stimulus that is required, the deep enough stimulus that is required in order to undergo muscle growth. And in order to do this, you need to make sure you're performing technique properly, and obviously the adaptation, but you need to make sure you're fatiguing your muscle properly, and you need to make sure you're burning your muscle properly, and you need to make sure you're literally at failure, and if not beyond failure, in order to stimulate this and in order to give your muscle the stimulus that is required. So you need to be training hard, and you need to realize that pain is temporary, and you need to be chasing pain, and you need to be putting yourself under discomfort. And as I said, pain is temporary. So you just need to remember that in the moment when the muscle is burning, because it is bloody hard, right? It is so hard in order to grow your muscles, because you need to train hard and you need to push your limits constantly, right? So obviously it's hard, but you need to remember that pain is temporary, and pain is actually your best friend, and this is what makes you grow. And the quicker you realize this, then the more mentally stronger you're going to get, and the more you're going to be able to push yourself physically. Therefore, the likelihood of you actually achieving failure and burning your muscle properly and giving your muscle the stimulus it needs in order to grow, the likelihood of those things happening is going to be a lot higher. Therefore, the chance of you increasing your rate of muscle growth is going to be a lot higher. So you need to be training to failure. You need to be progressively overloading, continuously pushing the limits and challenging yourself. increasing the intensity, increasing the volume, and increasing the weight, also whilst having a good technique so you can actually stimulate your muscle in the first place. And this basically puts a cherry on the top. So you have good technique, so you're isolating your muscle properly, you're giving it the time and attention, and this is the icing on the cake. So you train to failure and you do this progressive overload to increase the intensity, volume, and weight. Therefore, you know, your muscle, your body's going to be constantly adapting. And remember what I was talking about the adaptation. The more you push yourself, the more you're literally going to be forcing your body to adapt. Therefore, you're going to be growing, right? So it's so important you actually make sure you're training hard. And obviously, as a skinny old man at the start of your gym journey, if you're watching this, it's going to be hard to push your limits. And I completely understand that because you're not used to the pain. And this is why you need to let your body adapt. And if you keep switching training programs, then you're not going to let this happen. Therefore, you're not going to be able to push to failure as much, and it's going to just be inefficient, right? So you just need to make sure you're training hard enough in order to actually require and in order to actually give the muscle the stimulus that is required in order to grow muscle, right? So they're the main three things that I've picked out, and there's obviously a little bit more, but they're the main three things that I think in this video that are really, really key, and why you're the problem, right? You are the problem because you're not letting your body adapt, because you're constantly constantly switching exercise programs, and you're being a sheep, you're following the trends, and you're program hopping, and you're not sticking to the same one. Remember, it's like trying to learn a skill. If you keep switching skills you want to learn every week, then the likelihood of you becoming good at any of them is going to be very low, right? For example, if you try to learn a backflip for a week and then you try to no, scrap that. So, for example, if you try to get good at trampolining for a week and then you try to get good at football for a week, you're not going to be good at any of them, and you keep switching to other sports, you're not going to be good at any of them because you're not giving yourself enough time in order to actually get good at them. So you need to be sticking to the same program in order to let your body to adapt, therefore you can grow muscle. And you need to be making sure you're performing exercises with the correct technique, because without the correct technique you're not going to be giving your muscle the time and attention and the isolation and the full range of motion. Therefore you're not going to be giving your muscle, and you're not going to be stimulating your muscle enough in order to stimulate muscle growth. And then the cherry on the cherry on the cherry on the cherry on the top is the and then the icing on the cake is training hard. You're the problem, and you're not seeing progression because you're not training hard enough. You need to just push yourself through the pain. Just don't give a fuck, right? Pain is temporary. You need to become comfortable with discomfort. You need to be training to failure. You need to be progressively overloading. You need to be constantly challenging your limits and pushing your limits and challenging your body. And that is how you're going to force yourself to adapt, and you're literally going to force muscle growth. So that is the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed this video and you've truly learned something about why you're the problem and the fixes you need to be making. So, you know, sticking to the same program, correcting technique, and actually training hard enough to stimulate muscle growth. So if you have enjoyed this video and, as I said, truly learned something, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like, a comment, and a subscription down below, as it really helps me. And you know you can learn from me more if you like this video. The algorithm can recommend me to you more. And another thing as well, I have really recently just launched my brand new free school community where I help skinny young men sculpt their physiques, and I fully guide you through the process. And there's a lot of course material to be going through in there, which is going to get you ahead of the other 99% of people, and it's going to ensure that you make the most efficient progress as possible. The detail I go into these YouTube videos is just the top of the iceberg, and the rest of it down below is what you can find in the school. So if you're interested in that, then join the brotherhood of like-minded skinny young men like you who are embarking on the same journey. I'll be able to guide you even further, and yeah, I hope to see you in there, my friends. So without further ado, I will see you in the next video.